All right, what's going on, beautiful people? My name is Jordy Nuevo. They call me the health insurance dad. We've been doing these lives a lot lately, and just bringing other professions so you can meet. Right. My main objective with these lives, these podcasts, is so that you can potentially find maybe a professional that you can contact. Maybe there's a service, a product, or something that you like, and getting to know these people, makes it easier for you to contact them. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to bring Farryl Brooke onto the stage pretty much. She's a loan officer, has many years of experience in pretty much in loans, right? So you guys are going to learn a lot. If you're looking to buy a home, refinance, or anything like that, this individual is going to give you a lot of knowledge that you can use for yourself, your family, and your friends. So let me go ahead and bring her on here.
Hi.
Farrell,
Hi, Jordy.
what's up? Thank you so much for making it to this show.
Yeah,
Um,
no problem. Sorry about the voice. I lost it earlier, which
it's
which
all
some
right.
people were really happy about, but it's back now.
It's all right. It's all right. She was screaming at all her customers. It just got approved and just
We were
partying it
stoked.
up. All right, cool. So, one of the first questions I like to ask, all my guests is, why did you become a loan officer?
Okay, that's a good question for me, and it's kind of like a little bit of a story. Um, I've had a few professions. I'm a single parent. I have three kids, so over time, I've had to adapt my profession, really to meet my life needs. Um, well before COVID, so I
Okay.
started in consulting, which I loved, but I couldn't travel anymore. And then I got into life coaching actually, and I
Wow.
love that. I learned so much. It taught me so much, and it's really nice to help people. I always
For sure.
want to do something that I feel like I'm always also giving back, if that makes sense.
Nice. What
So,
what were
yeah,
you consulting in?
I did. So I was doing change management and
Okay.
training and train the trainer and stuff like that. And then I was doing energy management where you purchase energy competitively in certain markets,
Wow.
electric and gas. So that was really, I always find that stuff very interesting.
Wow.
So that was fun because it's a very objective field. And then I went, had my kids and was doing things. I'm like, man, I want to do something. And I helped a few friends open businesses, a few women, and
Wow.
I loved it. I was like, I'm not passionate about anything, but they are. And, if I can help them, that would be great. And I just did it. And, they relied on me. And I thought, this is cool. So I can just coach people to help them find their passion. And I
Oh
was
yeah.
passionate, right? So while doing that with someone I went to college with and have known for 20 years now, I told him, I love this, but I need, something more if I want to move, or I just wanted to keep learning and do something that got to my consulting side too, because that was my helping side, but it
Yeah.
really didn't intrigue my, professional side as far as, consulting and business and office and the way I saw myself.
Yeah.
So after coaching for a year, I would say, he's like, have you ever thought about my industry? And I was like, nope, not for a second, not even a little. So I read about it and I was like, man, this is super interesting. And he's like, look, you take the test, get your license, and I will teach you everything I know. And that really changed everything. He's a mentor, a friend, a manager.
Wow.
So I'm very fortunate that I have that, but that's really how I got into it, is just from my life thinking, oh my God, I have nowhere to go. This isn't what I know. I need, my kids have to come first. It's just me, to the lending side. It was really a process, but it all, you don't get where you are without the past, whether you regret it
For
or not.
sure. For
So,
sure.
it's hard to say you regret things because you won't be where you are today.
For sure. So you said you read about the industry. What'd you
Yeah.
read?
I just looked online, like, what are the
Oh, okay.
classes like? What's the material like? What
Okay.
am I going to be studying? Because I figured if I'm studying this, then I'm going to be doing it right in the
Yeah, yeah,
future.
for sure.
And also, I already knew the person. I respected, admired him. He's
Of course.
successful, so I could see that it could be, lucrative. And it also gave me flexibility, which I really, really needed. I'm
Yeah.
happy to talk to people at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, you
Like right
know?
now.
Exactly. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, you know?
Me either, me either.
I mean, if that's the best time, that's the best time. Who cares if it's not at 5 o'clock? You know, the day doesn't end
For
there,
sure. For
you
sure.
know?
But
So
that's
it
good
really,
though. Like I realize that a lot of people they look for people that they can have that type of relationship with, right? Not somebody that just doesn't pick up after 5, right?
no,
So
I
that's
always pick up. If I don't answer, I call back the same day. It's, I don't know. It's just part of being a good person, I think. And um, it's just a stressful endeavor for a lot of people. So you want to be reachable because I know how I feel when I can't reach something that I think is urgent or important.
mhm.
So I want to treat people the same way.
For sure. Now you
Mhm.
said that it caught your attention. You read something and it like I can do this. I want to do this. What was that one thing that made you do that? I know you have a heart of helping people and things like that, but what was that one
That's
thing
a
that
good
you read?
question. I've never, ever, ever been asked that ever, and I don't honestly, I don't know the answer. But I think it was just that it's constantly changing.
Okay.
So
It's
no
something new
one,
every day, right?
there's always something new to learn, new to know, new offer, a new requirement, a change in requirement, stricter, lighter. You're never going to get bored, and if you do,
Yeah.
then
You're in the
you're not
wrong
doing your
industry.
job right. You're doing something wrong.
For sure, for sure. Okay, and how long you been doing it now?
I've been doing it for about 4 years and
Okay.
I love it. And actually, my very first loan I ever did was a very difficult one. And she calls me to this day every 2 months. If I don't call her, she doesn't call me. She's like, "Is everything okay? How are you?" And I just like that. I think it's special and it's nice. She can call me and I'll answer. And, I think it's kind
That's
of
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, I actually remember my first client in the insurance business too,
Do
and we're
you?
like best friends. She's like 55 or 56, and we're like
Yeah.
the coolest.
I know she didn't know she was my first,
Yeah,
borrow on my own or anything
my-
like that. I mean, they have no way of knowing that, but for some reason they know they're special, I guess.
yeah, yeah,
They
for
stay
sure.
in touch.
You always remember them. So you
You always
said you were
remember your
doing
first.
for sure. So what were you doing before the loan before you became a loan officer?
So I actually was a certified professional coach, and I didn't
Okay,
do like a
that's
quick
what you done.
online thing. It took a year of training with the school, and I met really great people. It was great. I can't say enough. I learned
Awesome.
about energy coaching and your levels of energy, and I use it to this day. It is so beneficial in my environment
For
because
sure.
as people get more stressed out and vent and get upset that we don't have information, when they want it to be available, it's a lot easier for me to take that, take what they're saying and really, just listen and understand and empathize and even think
For
about things
sure.
I'm doing and be like, how could I do this better? Am I emotionally reacting and where am I right now? And how can I, get to a different level of
For sure.
more, positive energy or anabolic energy?
I bet it definitely helps that you went through that before you came into the industry for sure.
Well, I think different perspective, changing your perspective is
Yeah,
helpful in every aspect of life because it really allows you to treat people differently and give you a sense of calm or it helps
for
navigate
sure.
situations a little better.
Nice. And why wouldn't I want to just go on the internet and search up, loans
Loan
or
officer,
something like
mortgage. I think
that?
everybody starts there, right? We all start on the internet
Right.
searching for something. And I've been asked this, are you scared, your industry is going to be automated? And the short answer is no, absolutely not. You are always going to have to talk to someone. There is
I do freak out about insurance sometimes, so I'm not gonna lie.
like, no, they're going to go and pick this plan and figure it
I
all
do
out.
freak out sometimes. I do freak
Do
out.
you? You know, I think I was more scared a few years ago than I am now because you always need the human contact. You're always going to need an
No,
answer you
I
can
know.
get from a person.
No, for
And
sure.
there's no way to go through the whole transaction without talking to someone. There is no way,
For
and
sure.
online, you're really not getting all the information. I mean, I had a house before I was a lender, and I was lucky to have a good, lender at that time, but I didn't know 100% what I was doing. And now I see things that I'm like, oh my gosh, like, don't sign with me if you don't want to, but don't sign this. Just don't do this. Like, please, 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 because,
For
there's a
sure.
lot of predators out there, especially in my industry, and you just want to know what you're signing and what you're paying for. So
What are some bad things that can be on a loan that people should look out for?
well, the biggest thing that people should look out for is, when they're saying, oh, they have this great rate and they see on their loan, they're looking at their loan costs. And it's really what you're paying for the rate is one of the bigger things.
Can you
There's rate.
explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So,
Because I
a
don't really
rate.
understand it.
Okay. So the rates are, there's a free rate. You don't have to pay to qualify for a rate. If you want a lower rate, then that's when you get into paying for that rate and you're paying a
Uh,
certain percentage of points for that rate.
got it.
And it's not a requirement to do the loan. So you
Okay.
have people, oh, all these big mortgage companies. Oh, I have 2%, 2.5%. And then you're looking, and I look at the loan costs and I see how much they're paying, and it can be 10 grand, 15 grand, 12 grand, 6 grand, whatever it is for that rate. But there's analysis that needs to go in before you're going to pay for that rate. Because just because it's the lowest rate doesn't mean it's ideal for you to pay for that. I mean, it can be a little higher rate and maybe it's $10 more a month and it's free, or costs you a little less and it's more beneficial. So, you want a break even analysis. You want to know really how much that rate's costing you and what value really is that. So that's the biggest predator I see, is people getting charged, 2.5 points, which is 2.5% or something like that for their loan. And that's a lot of money. And a lot of times that little rate isn't necessarily worth it. So
Yeah.
you always want to ask, all right, that's the rate and they're giving you this loan and you're paying for it. Well, what's the rate if I don't pay for it? That's what you want to know. And that's where you really want to start,
So
because
the
anyone
free
can pay.
rate.
Every rate is free. You don't have to
Oh.
pay. I mean, unless unless you're like, there's credit, there's issue, there's sometimes where there aren't options, and it's true.
Yeah.
It's rare, it happens, but
Yeah.
no, generally speaking, no, there is a rate that you qualify for free. And
Yeah.
that's where you always should start. What's my rate? Without costing me a dollar, without paying for points.
So
Um,
like when somebody calls you, I should just ask, "What's my rate?"
well, I mean,
Type
there's
of
a
deal
lot of things
that
to
goes
go
into
into
it.
it. I got, there's credit and all that stuff like that.
Okay.
But once they run all that and they're like, okay, let's go over the terms, and they're telling you this is the rate, and you're like, okay, is that rate costing me anything? How much is it costing
Ah,
me?
got it.
That's really the question to ask, because sometimes it's not beneficial. And,
No. Wow.
really you can do the free rate and it's still a great deal and it didn't cost you anything. So why wouldn't you do
Wow.
that?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
When was the last time you heard that, you know, other than the free rate, what was maybe another thing? Maybe I've heard like variable, like something variable interest or something like that. Like, what is that
yeah,
all
the
about?
adjustable rate mortgages.
Adjustable.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was with the whole mortgage crisis, where they're putting people in these low teaser adjustable rate mortgages, not realizing like that's the starter rate, but part of that loan packet that was buried in there that was hard to read and even harder to understand if you don't know what the heck you're reading,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's a very jargon filled, and a
Do they
lot of
still do that?
yeah, you can do an adjustable rate mortgage.
Okay.
It's not recommended often. It
No.
depends on your specific scenario and what you're looking for, and it's a very specific product. I mean, not everyone's going to do it. Certainly not on their primary residence unless they want to pay it off, quickly, or they're well
Yeah.
aware of what their maximum rate will be and what that payment could be. Because taxes and insurance, change, and that has nothing to do with your actual mortgage. So what if those goes up, and at the same
Uh,
time now your rate goes up, and now you can't afford your house because all
well,
these things went up at the same time,
so is
and
that a
then there's,
product? Is that a product maybe that you would offer it maybe to a higher income person, not like the
no,
average
it's going to be
American?
depending on, no, it's more like if they're planning to pay it off within that, because it's, 5, 7, 10-year terms. They're not
Uh-huh.
30-year adjustable,
Uh,
it's not like that. So it depends on the terms. It's more an investment property, commercial loan, or if you want to get something paid off,
yeah,
quickly, you're going to sell it before then, you're not planning to stay here anytime soon, and you want the benefit of a lower rate. That being said, you can't guarantee the rate won't go up after the first year or whatever.
yeah.
But it's those are like a few scenarios that you would maybe do that.
I watch a lot of podcasts and things like that, and like you always hear the investors doing that, right? So they'll
Yeah,
put
because
maybe like, yeah, they're gonna resell it, like they're gonna fix it up,
that's why.
adjustable rate and
They're
things
not
like that.
keeping it. Doesn't matter if the rate adjusts. They're not going to
Exactly.
hold the house long enough to care.
Gotcha,
You know,
gotcha,
not 30 years where you're gonna see a difference in it. No,
gotcha. And
nothing like that.
what's been like the biggest challenge that you've faced in your career?
In my career, like lending or in general, or
No, no, in lending.
in lending,
Yeah.
the biggest challenge I face, I think in my head when I started was being a woman in the industry.
Mm.
People tend to trust men, more in the financial world.
I
So
trust women more.
do you?
Yeah.
People say that. I don't know. I mean, that might have just been in my head. It might have been like
Yeah.
a preconceived notion that I had.
Yeah, yeah,
A limiting in coaching is called a limiting belief, where like, I believe something, so it must be true, even if it's
for
not true at
sure.
all.
For sure.
So it's like, how do I get people to trust me? Why trust me over somebody else? Why am
Why
I so
would
good?
we? Why would we trust you over
Why would we
somebody else,
trust you?
bro?
Well, one thing is I educate my borrowers through the process, so they're never like, "Oh my god, what the heck is going on? I have no
Right.
idea."
You
The other
know, love.
thing is, I think when they talk to me, they realize, like, I have a moral compass, and a lot of people don't. For me, yes, I need to make money. Like I said, I have 3 kids I'm raising, and
Yeah.
one and they all have medical conditions, and it's not cheap. So, like,
Yeah.
I have to struggle with that and taking care of them and making sure we can get the medical needs,
Of
for
course.
them so they have a future.
Of
And,
course.
so part of that is, I think, feeds into my personality. And I
Yeah.
think people see that, like, okay, if it's not good for you, I'm not going to offer it. I don't care. If there's no deal, I'll tell you that there's no deal.
Of
Even,
course.
if some people want a deal, they want to do something. I'm like, none of these are good. Like, let's just wait or whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, if it's not the best for you, I'm not going to do it. I'm here for the long term. I want a good reputation. That is really important to me. All I have is who I am. That's it.
Yep. Yep.
That's all you leave this world with.
And
You
referrals
know?
are super great too.
Yeah,
When people are
you want
happy, they're
yeah,
the
I wanna be
easiest sales.
well, you wanna be trusted too. Don't you wanna be trusted? Insurance is
Exactly.
a huge deal. You wanna
Exactly.
know, like, you don't want someone calling you later like, "Oh, he put me in this horrible
Oh.
policy. I can't afford it. It covers nothing. He lied." I
Yep.
mean, I don't even know if I would sleep well. I mean, I would feel personally so awful, if I did that. And my favorite deals are my old ladies who I mean, I'll make any concession I can. They're
Mhm.
just, they're on fixed income. They get credit card trouble. They want to pay for their grandkids and, then they get in this trouble. And I love when I can help them because they're getting
Yep.
targeted by reverse mortgages and I can do those as well. And
Yep.
sometimes they're beneficial, but sometimes they're not. And it's individual and they're expensive. You have to care about the person, you just do. And I think that makes a difference. It has to be about more than money. It just has to
Of
be. I
course.
mean, even in
Every
lending, you
time.
have to care more about getting that person in their home. I always tell everyone, sometimes we don't get our clears to close till right before closing and they have all their stuff in a moving van and their old home's gone and they don't know where they're
Oh my
going.
gosh.
And I'm going to
That's
tell you,
stressful right there. That's
it's
stressful right
stressful.
there.
It's so stressful. I am
The
just as
pressure is
concerned
real.
as you are. I swear I am just as worried as you are, about closing and you finding that place, you
Yeah,
know.
for
So I
sure.
think that's why, as people like, look, I care about my reputation. I want you to come back. I want your kids. I want
Yeah,
everyone you work with. And, I don't want you recommending me and me making you look bad either. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Like for me, it's like you just have to like pay it forward and treat
Exactly.
people the
It
right way.
always comes back. It always comes back, whether it's good or bad. It always comes back. I'm a
Yeah,
big believer of that. Yeah, like
absolutely.
in the insurance industry, I always tell my clients like, if there's an insurance agent talking to you, you went on Google and they're not even showing you a Facebook or like they're not sending you anything, and it's just kind of like transactional. I mean, you need to be careful, right? Same thing,
Yeah,
like even when you're dealing with loan officer or something else, like you always need to make sure that if the person's not really being open with you, that's a red flag,
right.
100%, right?
Yep,
So I'm very very big on that. Now,
absolutely.
what's one thing in your business in your venture in being a loan officer that you didn't expect to get out of?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, Actually, I think I think I kind of started, I don't know a better way to say this. I won't say respecting myself because it's not like I didn't respect myself, right? I
Mhm.
think I started to view myself and like as I've gone along, get more expertise and more professional and feel more professional and more
Yeah.
knowledgeable. And like I've always seen myself in that way and like that's what I wanted. And I never expected to like the lending this job to kind of create the avenue where I got more self-confidence
Oh
when
yeah,
I'm not at
for
work
sure.
even, like, I feel like I was so
Feel
nervous
like a
before, but now I'm like,
boss.
I can, yeah, I can go in, even networking events, right? I can go into any event and like, be confident when I walk in there that like I know what I'm talking about, or if I don't, I ask I know exactly where to find the answer,
Yep,
and how to talk to other people and sit in a room with like people have been doing it for 30 years or older gentlemen or women,
wow,
who are really big in the industry and feel like, okay, this is a role model, this is what I want to be, and I can get there, like I can do
for
this,
sure,
and really like feeling like, okay, yeah, 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 I got this. And even at
for
home,
sure.
feeling more confident, right?
Oh yeah,
In
for
everything
sure.
and decisions I make. Like, okay, that's that's a nice thing. You don't realize like, okay, I wasn't lacking confidence, I didn't think, but wow, all right, this really like this was cool. You see yourself like you built your own business, Jordy,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I think we don't like give ourselves enough props for that because it is really hard to be commission only and build your own business from nothing. And
No,
it's
but it
it's
feels
kind of a
great. I
nice
love
feeling
it.
when you start to
I
feel a
love
little
it.
like, okay,
Yep.
wow, I'm supporting my family and paying my bills and you
And people
know
are depending on you. I mean, that's like my biggest thing. Like, that's why I fell in love with my industry, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Like, when you help somebody close on a home, like you did that, like, yo,
right,
it
right.
feels
I mean,
amazing. When I insure a family, I love it. I'm like they trusted me, like they depended on me, and I'm not
right.
gonna let them down. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, accidents happen, things happen. Like no one's perfect, but
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
do always my best. And I'll tell you what, and you know this as well. I try to go to closings and stuff. And I go over,
yeah,
first of
yeah,
all, I go over the entire financial part prior the night before or whatever, prior to them walking in there. So there's no surprises. But
yeah.
I was at one recently and a different the notary there, whoever it was like, I've been working here for 10 years and I've never seen a lender show up to closing. And then the realtor was like, I've been doing this for 20 years and I've never seen a lender show up to closing. And for me, I'm like,
Wow,
if I can make it, I'm there because I'm the one who set all this up, right? So like if you have a
for sure.
last minute question, which they did at that one of the closings I was just at, and they were very happy I was there and they could ask right
Wow.
away, you know, that's why, and it just shows that you care. And I just want to make sure it closes. And then I get, it's selfish. It's so selfish because I get to see them sign and be happy and I get the hug, so that's where
Oh,
the
it
giving
feels
back
amazing
comes in. I'm like,
for sure. For
it's,
sure. So I want to talk about the nitty gritty, right?
oh, okay.
You've talked to me about this before, and I'll be honest, it was straight Chinese. So I doubt anybody else is probably gonna get this,
Okay.
but you're a beast when it comes to it. I want to talk about the different type of loans.
Oh, there's so many different types of
I
loans.
know, I know. So I mean, if you can
Yeah.
go maybe into like, you don't have to go into every single one. I can
No, no,
imagine
it's
there's
too
probably
much.
so many, but probably what would benefit, the most to like an average American, working and just trying to buy a home, right? So like, what are
Right.
the best type of loans for somebody, maybe W-2, maybe 1099, for like
Okay.
the middle income, sector.
All right. So the short answer is it depends. And that's in consulting, the joke is like if you ask a consultant a question, they're gonna ask it depends. Like that's always the
Yeah,
answer.
yeah,
But
exactly.
so basically, broadly speaking,
Yeah.
if you're like a W-2 employee, you've been with your company for a while, I mean, and you have good credit, you're going to be looking at a conventional loan, period. You're going to look at a conforming
What's good
conventional.
credit?
Good credit. I mean, the minimum credit requirement for conventional is 620. That
Okay.
doesn't mean you want that because you're
Yeah.
not going to get the best interest rate at that point, but you qualify. So there's
Gotcha.
factors involved with whether you're going to choose that or not. I mean, you
Gotcha.
really want to be like over 700, 720 to start getting in better rates for a conventional loan,
Okay.
realistically speaking. Um, and then if it depending on if you're refinancing or you're purchasing and how much down you want to put is another factor.
Okay.
You know, if you're a first time home buyer, you can qualify for different things. Like you can put, 3% down on a conventional loan, whereas FHA, if your credit is like maybe at that 620, you're going to get a better rate,
Yeah.
and you can put 3.5% down. You're going to pay other fees. There's funding fees. There's private mortgage insurance.
Oh, I
Um,
hate that.
right. And that's for the life of the loan, whereas a conventional that will, that can come off of it once
Drop
you
off.
have enough equity in the home. So if your credit's a little iffy, you're going to be looking at FHA really. Um,
Okay.
if you have better credit, you're going to be looking at conventional. If you're a contractor, 1099, you have your 2 years of self-employment, which is a requirement.
Yeah.
Um, and you claim quite a bit of income, you don't have a lot of deductions or a lot of debt, I would still say the same. I would say the same. I would still do conventional. Those are always the first go-tos, because that's going to be the lowest fees and the best rates, period. FHA conventional loan,
Okay.
VA loans as well, veterans, if you're eligible, VA loan, you can get 100% financing.
I heard.
Your debt ratio can go, I mean, there's funding fees unless, you're qualified disabled,
Yeah.
by your eligibility requirements. You can, get rid of the funding fee. It's a great type of loan if you qualify, and there's no private mortgage insurance on it.
Wow.
And then if you're, a contractor, independent contractor, self-employed, and you have, a lot of deductions or, a lot of debt, stuff like that, then we start looking at other types of loan, like bank statement loans, for a primary, or we're just
Mm.
looking at what your really business deposits are and stuff. Um, and then at investment properties, you're going to do other types of loans. You could do, a debt service, which is really where we're just looking at what the mortgage would be compared to um, what the market rent is, and we use that. You get a certain number, and within a threshold, you qualify for the loan. And we're not even looking at income, and that would be for an investment property.
That's
So
for
those
an
are a few, like,
investment property. You said we're only looking at the mortgage. So,
your
like
future mortgage, what it would
the
be. And then
okay.
they do it when you do an appraisal. It also comes with a market rent analysis, which is based on like the market rent for that home, whatever they come up with. And then there's a ratio. And then from there, you would qualify based on your credit and stuff like that.
Now I can only do that for an investment property if I already have one, right?
No, 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 you don't
That
already
wouldn't
have
be
to have
for
an
first
investment
time.
no, 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 it can be your
Oh
first
yeah.
investment property ever. You don't need to have
Okay.
another investment property to qualify for that, at all. And then there's like, there's 1099. We can do it just off of 1099.
Yeah.
You can do those kinds of loans, where you don't, not W-2, we're not using your bank statement, we're not using returns, we're just using your 1099. And then there's an expense factor depending on which, what type of job you have and what bank
Yeah.
you're going through. So there's a lot of different options out there,
Yeah.
and it's so personalized,
For
per
sure.
individual. And there's also
Yeah.
obviously like requirements, credit's a big requirement, 620, 600, for FHA, you can be 580 and qualify.
Oh wow.
Um, you know,
What are the
where
interest rates right now?
we've been seeing interest rates go up. That's,
Yeah.
what's been happening now. The Fed is going to raise personal rates. We're not directly affected, but it does have an impact,
Yeah.
because it affects the market, which that, impacts us with our rates. So, if you're in fours, low to mid
Or
fours, depending on your credit, low, you could do high
yeah.
threes.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, you could do high threes if you have good credit. That's still available for primary. For secondary and investment property, you're going to be probably mid fours, or
Okay.
low fours,
So
low to mid
investment
fours.
properties are more the
Yeah, so
interest
rates are always
rates.
higher for
Okay.
investment properties.
Why is
Fannie and
that?
Freddie, it's based on the
I thought we
market,
were
and then
helping the economy. Like I thought we should get the
well, you know what?
hookup.
Because it's not your primary residence. So obviously you have the money, right, to
I
invest in
guess,
this.
yeah.
So you're going to
That's
pay
true.
higher because this is at a minimum, like this is probably like your second home,
That's
or it's not where
that's
you're
true.
living. We know that.
That's true.
So that's probably, that's one of the reasons, and then when Fannie and Freddie, when you do a conforming loan, make announcements, they're
Yeah.
like, hey, listen, we're going to raise rates. They're not going to be the same as they were on the primary market. Now for the second homes,
Uh,
rates are going to be higher, which is what they're going to do now. And they should be, because it's not your first home. Your first home, you should get all the benefits. It's your primary.
yeah,
For your with
yeah,
your family. Give me, give me,
yeah,
give me, give me everything. And
yeah,
once you
yeah.
get to second homes and investments, well, you know what? You should pay more because it's money making. So
Of
it
course,
shouldn't affect you. You're making money. That's the whole point. It's an investment property. It's
of
to make
course,
money. So everybody wants their little piece of that pie.
for sure,
Right?
for sure.
Everybody wants their cut.
That's funny. All right,
Yeah.
so pretty much, I had a question and I lost it.
Oh,
But
I
what
do that.
is? I know, I hate that. That was such a good question too. But
Oh,
walk us through the process, right? So let's say I'm like a new person. I got my 2 years at my job finally. My credit's finally at 450. No, I'm finally at the
we're gonna have to work
650,
on that. We're gonna have to
700.
work on that. I'll help you. I work on credit. If I can, I help with credit, and I don't charge for that either. If I can, I help.
Oh, you really can?
Yeah, if once I
Or
when
you
I
know
run,
somebody even, yeah.
no, no, no. Once I run, if I'm working with the borrower and I can do something for their credit and it's gonna positively
Yeah,
impact their interest rate or get them qualified, I will tell them exactly what they need to
for
do.
sure. Oh,
Be like, do
awesome.
this, and then call me, and then I'll do
Awesome.
this, and then we'll check it.
Pay off your credit card, girl. So yeah, walk us
No
through
more
that
shoes. No more
process.
shoes this month.
Walk us through that process. Like I got my 2 years in, my credit's something decent, 650, 700, or whatever. What do I do? I call you, and what can I expect when I call you?
So I'll ask you like a few questions. The first thing is to find out what you're looking for, what type of residence, what your current situation is. And then really the first step to getting accurate information is to run credit and check income. So I run
Yeah,
credit and I have you send me pay stubs so I can I have to confirm your income. There's no
of
stated
course,
income. And I'm not doing a pre-approval unless I check it. So
of
we
course.
check to make sure the income is, what you say. And then that's how I get your ratios. And then from there, we'll go over, where do you want to be at? What kind of mortgage do you want? What payment are you comfortable with? What cash to close are you comfortable with? Or if it's a
Okay.
refinance, it's similar questions, except you don't really need cash to close. It's like, do you want cash back or you just want a
Yeah.
straight refinance or debt
When you
consolidation?
say when you say cash back, what does that mean?
So when you do a cash out refinance, if you have enough equity in your home, you can pull cash out of it and then you get the money. So if,
Oh, okay.
I have quite a bit of equity, you can go up to, 75
Okay.
loan to values. So you can pull out up to that. I mean, if you don't have a mortgage on your house and your house is worth 500 and you want to get a 250,000 of mortgage, all obviously there's fees. So you'll get, 240,000 back or whatever it is. And that's
Yeah.
cash in your bank. And now you just pay the mortgage.
Wow.
So
Okay.
then from there, once we agree on everything, or it depends if it's a refinance or not, but let's say it's a purchase. So then I'm like, all right, go look for your home. And I tell them, call me every time there's a home you want to go see, and I'll run the numbers on that home and tell you what you're looking at, so you know exactly what you're doing. You want to go in there prepared. I don't want
Yeah.
any surprises. I'm not, I don't want you to be surprised about your cash to close or what your mortgage payment's going to be or anything like that. So then once you're like, great, we're under contract, congratulations, I sent the pre-approval, they got under contract, and then we start the loan process. So you get your loan agreement, you have your inspection period. Once you tell me, yes, I approve the inspection, we're cool, we're moving forward, order the appraisal, I get some documents from you, your file goes to processing, underwriting, it kicks back to me, lets me know if we need any more documents, goes back to underwriting, then the closing department, and then we close. And that's the short version of what
How long does that
happens.
usually take?
30 days is
30 days?
30 days
That's
is
not bad.
not a problem to get that done, at all, unless there's some issue that comes up. But we kind of find out along the way through underwriting if
Yeah.
you hid something,
Yeah.
or if maybe something doesn't come back, if you try to like lie about your taxes and we check it
Yeah.
and you gave me something different,
Oh,
than you gave the
that's
government,
fraud, baby. That's fraud.
then that's a problem. That's a problem, and but I
That's
mean, I
funny.
think it's a process, but I try to talk people through it and ease their concerns. It's like with anything.
For sure. Now, do you find that like FHA loans are sometimes like tougher?
No, I really
No?
don't. No,
Like
I mean,
because of the whole inspection stuff and all that?
no,
No?
it's not. It really isn't. It's not tougher. VA loans tend to have more requirements. They require a
Mm.
termite inspection, which other, loans don't. And
Oh wow, I didn't know
it's
that.
fairly specific and it goes through a different process. So we're always waiting for things from like the VA or it goes through a different department. Those tend to have more like things where like, I don't, they have great benefits, but they also have a few more requirements
Yeah.
that kind of can take a little more time,
Hmm.
depending on how things come back, how the inspection comes back, and everything like that. Because we need those things for the
For
VA
sure.
loan.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
And we were talking about numbers. So let's just say on a $200,000 home, like what do I have to be making to qualify for this home? Well, no, let's talk Florida numbers. That I'm
So this is,
tripping.
this is a good question
Let's talk
because
300,000. Let's talk 300,000.
Florida, 300,000. Where are you living, man? Okay, no. So this is a good question because I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter, and I won't say it doesn't matter how much you make, but it is less about what you make and it is much more about your debt than it is anything else.
Really?
Because if I'm making $500,000 a year, let's say I'm making 50 grand a month,
That's
okay?
true.
If I'm spending 35 grand a month, I do not qualify for a loan because my debt to income ratio is already over my 50%, which is the
Wow.
limit. So, it really boils down to not what you're making. I have people who make, I had someone making, I think it was like $15 an hour. I had no problem getting her approved. No
What?
problem. But she didn't have a lot of debt. And that's what it boiled down to. She didn't have a lot of debt. And I told her, you call me every house you want to look at because it's tight. I don't care. Call me every house. I'm going to
Yeah.
run every single little number. But it's about, so
Wow.
anyone, if there is anyone listening, it's about your debt. It is, yes,
I
income
did not
matters.
know that.
It's about, income does matter. It's not that it
Of
doesn't matter,
course. Of course.
but it's about your debt really,
Yeah.
really big time because you can make all the money, but if you have a ton of credit cards and cars and it's all financed, then it really doesn't matter. I mean, your ratio is just going to be too high.
So what you do is you take the debt that they currently have and then you add, and then if the percentage with the house and their current debt is at 50%, it's a no-go.
Basically,
You
I
know,
run
right?
it to see. Sometimes you get a yes. I mean, you
Yeah,
never
yeah, of
100%
course.
no because it can change. But that's basically
That's
yes.
basically it.
Basically, yeah.
Wow.
It's about your minimum payments, not the balance you're holding. So there's a lot
Okay.
that goes into it. But I would say, if you properly manage your debt, then you shouldn't have an issue. With house and you're paying a rent already. Before you buy, like.
What's your favorite type of loan?
My favorite type? I mean, it's the easy ones, right? So the easy ones that'll go super
Conventional,
quick are like,
right?
W-2 nurses, police
Nurses,
officers,
you out there?
EMTs. Well, you got to think police officers, EMTs, firefighters, nurses. These are specialized
Able.
skills.
Yep.
They're not quitting their job anytime soon. They're W-2. They're there forever. Those are easy. I like really hard ones because they're hard,
I
and
would
I'm like,
I would be a hard situation. I take every deduction and this.
but I learn more from that than I do
Yeah,
from
yeah.
anything else because I'm like, look, if I
Or-
can't figure this out, no one's doing this. I'm sorry. No,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I don't know, I have the best next resource next to me who he'll know. And if we can't figure it out, I mean,
I
go.
mean, what's one tough situation that you overcame when it came to getting somebody
What's
alone
one
without saying any names, but
situation?
like a type of example that you can give, like, man, I didn't think this person was gonna get approved and they got approved.
I didn't think it was going to
I
happen.
do it with insurance all the time. Like I'm like,
Oh, do
what?
you? You're like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. I can't believe what they went through. Oh my God. I've been lucky. I haven't had a lot of those. I have some where I have to, where I get, I actually, no, I did have one I got very nervous on because they had very, very intense tax returns that
Mm,
were very complicated. And I had to, like, I couldn't use a bunch of the income and it was hard to prove some of the income and it was hard to qualify like a lot of their cash to close because of the income. And that's, a self-employed person with like a lot of investments. And as people um, build their wealth,
yeah,
you'll start making investments, to write off some of it, really to,
yeah.
get help on the tax burden.
Yeah.
And that will impact your ability to get a loan, though. So
Wow.
I did have one, and I got, I didn't I it was forever to get the clear to close. I had to send it back a couple times. We need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. I'm like, oh my God, we're a day before closing, and I'm getting reamed out a little bit. And I know, not by the borrower, by a professional, which was like, that's
Yeah.
unprofessional. Like, don't you tell
Yeah.
me how to do my job. Trust me. Like, I don't tell you how
Wow.
to do your job. I'm like, how, I'm like, and they had actually been told yes by another lender, because the lender was listening to what they had to say, right? All this
Wow.
money, millions,
Yeah.
millions, millions. They hear the millions. They're like, oh, yeah, you're approved, baby. I hear millions. We're good. But then when they never looked at their documents in detail, like I did prior to them putting a deposit,
Uh-huh.
and they I don't know. I mean, they had to go fight to get the deposit back, because then the lender, after they put the deposit, was like, oh,
What?
no, I can't do it. Oh, I finally looked at your return. I can't do it. I'm like, oh my God. So then they come
Oh
to me,
my.
and then I'm like, okay, we'll figure it out, man. Like, let's just, and I'm getting reamed down. I'm like, you knew that your client already lost one deposit. You knew this was a hard deal. What are you yelling at me for? Like, it's gonna close. Like, we'll get it done.
Yeah.
We'll chill out. Or
Yeah.
that, that's hard. Or like when I have to rework a deal in the middle, because I'm like, ooh, if I Paul, I'm like, we
No,
need
for
we need to
sure.
think about this differently, a little
For
bit.
sure. But
Yeah.
what's your favorite, like FHA, conventional, VA? What do you see has like the less like hurdles to go over? Probably conventional, right?
Um, FHA and conventional really don't have different hurdle. I mean, there's no
No?
different. No, it's 100. The hurdle, the hurdle's the borrower. Get it, if you getting the right documents. Sometimes you can't get the documents you need. Or
Yeah.
we can't, or we need something from them. They can't find it. I can't find it. I'm going through. I'm searching court rec. I mean, I'm searching court records.
No
I'm
way. Are
calling
you kidding
lawyers.
me? Oh my gosh.
I'm calling everyone, hey, do you have this document from 10 years ago that we need to prove this? Like if someone has a bankruptcy, 7 years ago or whatever, they still qualify,
Oh
even
yeah?
more recent than that,
Wow.
right? 2 years for Chapter 13. So, like,
What?
they still qualify, but we need all these documents. And sometimes people don't have them. So then it's
Wow.
like, but we need it. And it's a requirement. So then we're like searching everywhere, scrolling through things like, oh my God, how am I going to get this? How am I going to find it? I'm stressing out. Like, so
There's a
that's the hard part. It's not like the loan type, because I know if they qualify, if I'm
yeah,
pre-approving them, right? I know that they fit and they're fine. It's like,
yeah.
it's the requirements that, come back from underwriting that I'm like, okay, oh, we need
Uh,
this, and they can't find this document. What
that
do we
always
do?
sucks. Yeah,
They have a contract, but they're missing the last page. And
for
wait, the
sure.
page could be blank. It doesn't matter. If it says 7 of 8, I need page 8. Doesn't matter if it's blank. And what if it's gone and no one has it? Like, then I
Oh
can't use
no.
any of that income if it was a document related to income.
Oh no. There's a
So,
question here by Kristen. Can a trust qualify for a loan?
you can close in a trust. It's the person's, you still have to prove income, right?
Okay.
So I guess it depends on like what's in the trust and what the rules are regarding the withdrawals and disbursements of the trust.
Uh,
Right.
got
So
it.
that's kind of one of the things you have to play with. But what you can do is, if you have the money and you have a trust and you're like, look, I'm going to pay for this, but I'm going to close in my trust, or I want to, put in my trust later. Like, yeah, absolutely. That's not an issue. But it would be
So
on the stipulations of like, what are the rules of the trust?
yeah.
What do
So
they
I
allow
can
you?
I can close on an LLC pretty much?
No, you can't close on an
No?
LLC. A trust
Oh.
is different. You cannot
Oh,
close.
okay.
You can't close on a residential purpose.
An
Any
investment
LLC,
though, you can.
you can't, because it's residential. It's not a
Yeah,
business, right?
that's true. That's
Someone
true.
asked me that recently. I'm like, it's zoned residential. I can't do a business, can't do a
Uh,
commercial deal on a residential property.
And what's the minimum that I would need for an investment property to put down?
Typically they want like 25%, but I've actually seen one recently that was 20%. It depends
Yeah?
on the type of loan and the
Never any
individual.
less? Never any less? Wow.
I mean, I was surprised I saw 20%,
Yeah. So
you
I
know,
guess the trick to that is kind of get a FHA, get in for a year, and then
like, I mean, you need reserves. There's reserves requirements. I mean, there's a lot of, there's different requirements depending on how many properties you own and stuff like that.
Mm,
At the end of the day. So, I mean, you know, it's always, it depends. It depends on the person. It depends
yeah,
on this. There's a way to do a lot of things. There's some things you just can't do. No one can do it. It's
of
not an
course.
option. And you can always close in your name and then you open a business later and then you can, put the
Oh,
title in your
quit deed it.
business. You
Wow.
can claim it, to your business if you're going to end up, running it out, let's say, and you don't want this personal liability
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
issues that happen.
for
People go
sure.
after house, go after everything.
For sure, for sure. What
Yeah.
time of day do you get your best work done?
Me, I when I wake up at, I don't know, probably like 6 or something. I'm normally working by noon. I've been working for 6 hours and gotten like
Wow.
a ton of stuff done. A lot of people when they work, they want to talk at 5 and 6. They don't want to talk at work. It's private, someone else's
Yeah,
business. They don't
yeah.
want to talk, um, in the middle on their lunch break because it's their lunch break. So I'm like, yeah, call me later. So I get a lot done then, and then if I get calls during the day, fine. Otherwise, I'm just working on whatever I need to for whatever current loans I have. And then otherwise at night is when I get a lot more calls where, for pre-approvals or we want to go see this house, can you,
Hmm.
what do you think? What are the numbers?
For sure.
Because realtors work all
All day.
hours, and they
Yeah,
spend a lot of time on more on those contracts, the purchase contracts. I don't spend
yeah,
any time on that, so I work around their schedule. I'm like,
for sure.
whatever you want to do.
Nice, nice. So I want to talk a little bit about, so people can get to know you a little bit. How did you grow up? Like, where'd you grow up? Tell us a little bit about your upbringing and things
Yeah.
like that.
Okay, so I'm from Northern Virginia. So I'm
Oh,
not from
nice,
like the horse country of Northern Virginia. I'm from like DC area, Fairfax.
nice.
So I grew up there and it was like basically a city, much more city than West Palm and Wellington are, that's for sure. Is very
Wow.
culturally diverse, very culturally diverse. I don't know, I loved it, man. It was nice. The winters were cold, it was really busy. You had your gamut from, politicians' kids to
Wow.
professionals, a lot of military. A lot of friends went to, go in the military. Everyone still lives up there. There's so much business up there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's pretty
We all
cool.
think we're cool and like hood rats.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
My favorite childhood memory. Oh, that's a good question. One I can share though, so I
Yeah,
have to like
yeah, one you can share. There's
no high
there's
school.
kids that also watch this.
No, no. So, actually, um, my favorite kind of like memory from when I was quite young, because I don't remember like a whole lot, was when I was. It's a family memory. It's so silly, but like I don't know why it stuck with me. I don't remember a lot about me and my brother playing, other than like we'd play Cowboys and Indians, and I would get tied up and stuck there, and then I'm like laughing so hard, I'm like, I have to pee, and I'm like, let me out of here.
That's
Because I
funny.
was little, I didn't believe it. Like I was, I was sleeping and I had like lost my tooth and I put it under my pillow for the tooth fairy. And I'm waiting up at night, and my
That's
mom's like, she's gonna go to sleep, she's gonna go to sleep. I don't know, whatever. And I have a brother and he's in another room. And then like at some point, I like tiptoe in his room and I guess I had gotten like my doll or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. And then it's
what?
like some noise. I'm like, do you hear that? It's the tooth fairy. She just left me this dollar and now she's leaving. Do you hear that? And like he's older, he didn't hear anything. And he's like, and
Oh
I woke
my
him up and
God.
he's like, I did. Oh my God, that's so nice. She just came to visit you. And I'm like, oh my God, she's real. And I was like so excited that like I had confirmation that it wasn't like the tooth fairy is real. It wasn't just a dollar. It was like him. He's like, yes, that's her
What?
footsteps. I heard it too. I swear. I don't know why that stuck with me. And it's so
Wow.
silly. But like I was like, yes,
Oh,
I
that's
don't know.
nice. That's awesome. Now, what's the best compliment that you've ever gotten?
That I've ever gotten. Um, okay, well actually it oh all right. This was from my dad. And it's kind of random and like it is a little personal, but um I got divorced from my husband, my kids. I have 3 kids. I have twins. and my son, and they're only 1 year apart. So I have like Irish
Wow.
triplets, and they are high
Wow.
maintenance little people. They are not some easygoing anything. Okay, it is
I
everything's
take
a
my hats
situation.
off.
They're half Brazilian. Everything's they're feisty. They're feisty. So
Wow.
I got divorced when the kids were like 4 and 5. Like they were quite young. 5 and 6, like kindergarten and first grade, something like that.
Wow.
Preschool, whatever. And I'm talking to my mom and dad one night, and they were, I don't know, asleep. And I'm in the kitchen sitting there, and we're going off and we're talking about relationships and other family relationships. I'm like, well, why, why would she stay there if she's not happy? Like, I don't understand. Like, why would she be there? She can go anytime she wants. She doesn't,
Yeah.
need anything, whatever. And he's like, you know what, Farrell? It took a lot of balls to do what you did, and not everyone has that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it stuck with me, but like I have a lot of respect, and I love my dad, but I, have a lot of respect
Yeah.
for him. I want, him to be proud. I want to do something where he feels like not that he
For
doesn't,
sure.
but
No,
like
for
that
sure.
for
For sure.
me. And he always is like, I love you, you're so beautiful, blah, 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 whatever. But
How
that meant a
many?
lot because, for me, I thought like I was letting people down,
Yeah.
really,
Wow.
because, I was just like, no, I can't do this. But then I was
Yeah.
like,
But you did it.
I never
You
saw
got
it
over
that
it.
way. I didn't see it that way. And he made me see a different perspective. And for me, that felt like a little adult respect. And that, that kid adult, that transition where
I'm
you
a big kid
become.
now.
Right. Oh my God. No, but it's so right because that's exactly what it is. It's where, you see, oh my God, I
Yep.
got some respect as an adult from my parent. And
Yep.
that's
That
for
one
me, that's like
shift that
very
you realize.
meaningful.
Yep. That
Yeah, and
one
my
shift
mom,
where
this
you
is like,
realize you're an adult.
right, I mean, are we ever adults, right? We don't know what we're doing. We don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
my mom is great and she's wonderful and always supportive, but like, hearing it from him is like a tough,
Yeah.
ball buster or whatever,
For
was like
sure.
I was like, wow, that comment really stuck with me like big time.
Wow. Wow. And you said you have a brother. Is it just two of you guys?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
us. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
I don't
Now,
know.
how would your parents describe what you do?
They would say I was a mortgage lender.
Nice.
That's
And if
about
you
it.
could be, if, oh, there's a good one. What's your biggest failure and what did you learn from that experience?
My biggest failure. That's a
And what'd
good
you
question.
learn from it? What'd you learn from it? That's what I want people to
Um,
take away.
so I think I always felt it's hard because I really subscribe to you have to fail. You don't succeed at everything. You're going to fail at 1,000 things before you find the thing you succeed at. So like, I guess I never took it to heart, like personally. But I always felt like coaching for me was a failure in the
Mhm.
sense that not in any sense, like in a bigger sense, it led me exactly where I am today.
Yeah.
I love every minute of it. I still have clients I coach, but because I like didn't stick with it, full time, whatever. For me, that was I could never really build my client base. I got very frustrated
Mhm.
because I would, get asked, "Oh, hey, can you come meet?" I'd love, and I always would do free consultations and stuff. And it became, and this is a generalization. It's not the whole. It became like a way for people to ask me out on dates, kind of.
Oh
And I was like,
wow. Wow.
it was very discouraging and very disheartening because I was like,
Wow.
what are you wasting my time for? Like
Yeah.
and honestly, it was kind of rude. And so
Yeah.
for me, I was like, and that kind of led into like, why would someone trust me as a woman in lending? Because
Ah.
in coaching, though they would talk to me where I meet them at an event and whatever. And then, oh my God, I'd love to talk to you more. I'm like, yeah, let's set up coffee. You can talk about what your coaching goals are, this, that, and the next. Then they'd be like, well, I'd love to take you out or whatever. And I'm like,
Oh wow.
and I mean, it was not one time. I mean, it was
Yeah.
enough where I was like, I can't do,
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't, you know, and so
For sure.
that would definitely be when I was like a failure, to some respect, because I felt like I just didn't either market myself well or, whatever the case was to get it through that. Like, no,
For
I'm not
sure.
looking for a date when I talk to you about,
I mean,
business
you
coaching.
guys girls, you guys, I bet you guys You girls go through that a lot though,
I
for
think it
sure.
happens to every woman.
Yeah,
I don't
for
know,
sure.
but, like, if I'm talking to you about business coaching, because I was a business coach primarily, not a life coach,
Hmm.
um, and I enjoy the business coaching part, immensely, um, but I was like, for me, I was like, I really, and that was one of the reasons after so much time, I was like, it would just happen too often. And I was
Yeah,
like, am I not being a good judge of character? But that's not for me to judge. I'm
yeah,
supposed to be open to new people and to coach them, to help themselves, to ask them the right questions so they can feel passionate and be happy. And I was
for
like,
sure.
okay, I can't, I was like, we gotta switch gears here. I'm, a
Now
little
you a
bit.
rock star loan officer.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
That's
Never
awesome.
start at the top, which people think you do, but I don't know. You probably wouldn't be good at your job if that's where you started. I don't think.
Oh, I know. I know. I mean, I hate the sucky part, right? Like, when you first start. But
Yeah, it's
man,
hard.
that's what makes you. Like, the reality is that is probably the most important piece to it. You have to embrace it. I mean, I've told you I've had 20 different businesses before my 25th birthday, and I
Yeah,
failed, 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 and then now it's like, thank you for letting me, early on find out I don't want to breed dogs. I don't want to cut hair. I don't want to do
are
all
you
that,
sure you don't
right?
want to breed dogs? You don't want to pick up dog
No,
stuff in
I,
your
I got
backyard all day
enough
long after
babies.
the
I got
puppies and
enough
stuff?
babies. I got enough babies for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I mean, I'd probably say I'm an extrovert, but I spend a lot of time alone. So, like,
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm open person, obviously, but I'm also pretty private about stuff. So,
yeah, for sure.
I like to go out and talk to people. I guess you have to be an extrovert, right, when you're your own business?
You're definitely an extrovert.
What are you asking if you already know?
You're definitely an extrovert. You're always talking to everybody.
No.
Um, if you had to eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh, one meal. Do I get, like, side
One
items
meal.
and dessert? Like, is
No,
it a
one
whole
meal. One meal for the rest of your life.
Oh, I am a big food person. Like, I love food. If I had to eat, like, one item, it'd be
One item.
hamburger,
Burgers? Really?
burgers.
Wow.
I don't know why, like,
I
it would be
did
that.
not expect that at all. I swear I did not expect that.
I mean,
What's
I'd
your
have, like,
favorite color?
watermelon on the side too, because I love that. I can't live without it, but it would be a
That's
burger. I
funny.
actually thought about this before.
That's funny. What's your favorite color? Blue?
I really like blue. I like
Yes.
blue a lot.
That's
I don't think
awesome.
I do, but I like it.
That's awesome. And if you could have coffee with any historical figure, who would you choose?
That's a good question. Actually, Hunter S. Thompson is not a historical figure. He's a journalist, a gonzo, self-proclaimed gonzo journalist.
Wow.
I would love to have coffee with him. He's met, all the presidents, the Bushes, Clinton, before he died. Not Clinton, Hunter S. Thompson. He has a very interesting, colorful life. I would love to sit and have
That's
coffee with
actually
him.
smart to meet with a journalist. Like
Yeah, he's a
they've talked to
journalist.
a lot of people actually.
I mean, I've read all of his books. I actually need to reread some of them. I try to read them every so often. He was just, I mean, he was a smart, guy who also like partied and stuff too,
Hmm.
and he knew everyone, but he was smart. He was brilliant,
Yeah,
man. And
yeah.
he went for it. He did all sorts of stuff, and he
Wow.
would be like the most interesting person I think to sit with.
Wow. And if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, anywhere in the world. I mean,
Besides Florida. It doesn't count.
I can't even like intellectually answer that. I haven't been to so many places. Like, I really want to go to Iceland. Like, I want to go to Banff. I loved Canada, but it's too cold all year long.
I know, I know. That's
It's
why I
just a little
can't
cold.
leave. I can't leave Florida for that reason.
Florida's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I would like to go to Australia. I haven't even visited it. I don't know where I'd want to live. I honestly can't answer that. I haven't been to enough places to figure it out. I
Wow.
like the mountains a lot. I really
Oh
miss
yeah?
them. So
Nice.
I would probably say, like, if I had to stay somewhere forever, it would be somewhere where I had mountains,
Yeah,
either
yeah, yeah.
close by or I'm living on one.
No, they're definitely cool for sure. And what's your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, my biggest pet peeve is when people are like rude just for no reason, like for little things, not like aggressively. Like obviously everyone hates when people are rude,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
little things. And I have one, and it lights my fire, and it's the stupidest thing. And it's in car line, and I don't know if you do car line, but I do
What
car
is
line
that?
sometimes, like dropping the kids
Oh, oh,
off
for
for school.
school.
So
Oh,
I
I
do car
used to.
line
I hated it.
sometimes. I do it for middle school, okay? And it's a very standard process. But there's a point when you're leaving where like it goes from one lane and it can go to two lanes. But you
Yep.
stay in the one lane because everyone's stopped, no one's going anywhere, like we're all waiting. And it gets my goat when somebody comes from behind and wants to just go up like ahead of three cars. But mind you, they're just ending cutting everyone else. Like they're making everyone upset because like, where are you going so fast? You saved 30 seconds and pissed off 10 people.
I
So
can see the frustration.
it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I'm like, it's just so. Can we not wait an extra minute? I mean, the kids get it. Like, it's just it drives me bananas. I'm like, just
I'm
chill out, man.
actually I'm actually reading a book called The Elimination of Hurry. I think that's what it is. And it's talking all about that, how this world
Interesting.
is just we've gotten to like everything is like now, right? Like this microwave world where we need everything now and we got to get to Georgia from Florida in 2 minutes. You
Right.
know what I
Well,
mean?
it's because we got like computer phones, so we get everything so quickly. Like we just want it done. And I'm like, did you, is that 1 minute worthwhile for you? Because you look like a tool. So,
No, I know.
you know,
I actually am reading that book and it's like it's giving me so much perspective. Like we live in the
yeah,
past, we live in the future, we don't even live in the present, like with
right.
everything going on.
No, you're 100%. It's like just relax. Like for me, it's a lot of driving things. Like I notice, like if someone wants to move over, it's like they just don't want to let you in. They don't want to let you in front of them. It's like it's one person, man. Like
Oh, I
it's
know.
little things, niceties that I see that are like just rude to be rude.
Yeah.
There's no value in it. Like it's really not adding them much value, at all. And it's just getting in an argument, and all you're seeing is road rage stuff now. And I'm like, can't you just chill out? Like just let them go in front of you, man. Like who
And you might
cares?
end up with a coffee in your car. No. I've heard somebody tell me they threw a coffee cup in somebody's car. I'm like, you're crazy.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Recently too. All
You're like,
right.
"It was
So
my car, and it was yesterday."
no. I don't get crazy like that because there's people with guns, there's people with all that stuff. I'm not even
Oh, I
playing with
agree.
that.
I'm like, "You don't
And
know
I'm
who's packing what."
and I have kids all the time. So I'm not even playing about that. All right.
Oh,
What are three books you'd recommend to my audience and why?
okay, well, I don't know what stuff they like, um, but I would say I know I just read a few different ones. I
Like
I
what are the
like
books that I think like that you think gave you like a shift maybe in your mindset or maybe something that
I got
would
you.
help somebody?
So I tend because I read so much for work.
Oh
And
well.
to stay current on like what's going on in the mortgage industry, what's going on today, what new issues, what are new Fannie and Freddie say yesterday, what does it mean for me,
Yeah.
what are my new requirements? Like I have to really always be paying attention to that if I want to like
Wow.
be good at my job. So
Yeah.
I spend so much time on that. I honestly don't read a ton of like, what I had one, it was like the leadership. I forget what it's
Yeah.
even called. The leadership something. Like I don't read a lot of it because when I wanna read, I like to read from comedians a lot. I
Oh
love
yeah?
comedians who
Wow.
write books because they're
Nice.
very intelligent. You have to be smart to be funny.
That's true.
We don't have any, so I love their books. They tend to be really funny,
Wow.
and they're quick reads, like I read a Nick Offerman book, it's like How to Paddle Your Own Canoe, and I just liked it. It's more of like a biography, but it's interesting about his life and like where he came from and like how he takes things. And when you read other people's experiences, it kind of
Yeah,
helps you because either you get something from it, you can relate, or you can be like, wow, that's a lot harder than I thought it was. I I had no idea. So it kind of can maybe change your perspective,
for
to
sure.
either on them or on yourself. Like, okay,
For
maybe I
sure.
should be more understanding with this.
For
as
sure.
something because I think they're funny and they're interesting. I read some really funny one. I had one I was laughing
Yeah.
out loud in a plane. The guy's like, "What are you reading?" I'm like, "It's pretty vulgar, dude. I don't know if I want to tell you what I'm reading." But it was just a guy who made like a lot of dirty jokes, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was,
Wow.
or like really smart comedians, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just they make
That's
some
pretty
good books.
cool.
They tell great
No,
stories.
nobody ever told me that before. That's been on the show that they read
Oh,
like
really?
about comedians and things like that.
No, I mean, I'm gonna tell you what, though they tell the best stories. They have very interesting lives. They know the
Wow.
best people and they're smart. So it's like they're very interesting books and then they're funny and they're witty. They're
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
smart. And then I always learn something always. And it's not necessarily about my life or like leadership or how to be a great leader. But part
Yeah,
of it is like, watching what other people do and
for sure.
seeing how they do
For
that.
sure. That's funny. All right. So a lot of, I'm a father. I love kids. And I'm always trying to inspire, the next generation. I'm always trying to inspire. I didn't even know comedians write books. I'm telling you, nobody's ever said that.
Really?
I didn't even know either. I'm telling you.
I mean, look, I read The Dirt, Motley Crue. Oh, or I like to read, or the other thing is I read for rock bands. I read those like old school
What?
classic rock bands. I read their biographies.
Wow.
The what is it? The Rolling Stones one is the biggest book, and it's a very hard read.
Wow.
It's not an easy read, but I read those like about all bands. Oh my God, they have the best stories, man. I learned more about music from reading their books than listening to their music. Like I didn't know it all came
Wow.
from blues. Like, oh my God, I mean, it's so interesting. Really.
Wow. That
Yeah, we
is
don't
definitely
respect the
interesting.
past enough a little bit. We got to know where we
For
come from
sure.
to know where we're going and where we don't want to be.
Yep, for sure, for sure. So like what I was saying is that I try to inspire, kids and I hope to one day get an audience to where hey, kids can get on here and kind of see okay, what do I want to be in life, right? So
Yeah,
if
that's
you
great.
had if you had to give one piece of advice to maybe a kid out there that is thinking of maybe getting into, the loan industry and become a loan officer, what's that one if, you know, tip that you would maybe give
The
somebody, a
one
child or
tip.
something like that? Yeah,
I don't know if it's one tip, but I get from my kids, they're teenagers now, is like, how come we're not learning about real life stuff? And one of the most important things about life is credit and debt, and how to manage it.
I love that.
Do you?
I gotta put it out there. Go ahead.
Are you sure? I never heard that
Yeah,
before.
I love that. I love
That's so funny.
that.
Uh, so, I would say, look, if you really want to have a very good understanding of how to manage your credit and debt, like this is the job for you. And you want to help people, like, if then I would like without a doubt, you'll understand very quickly the best way to manage your debt, the best way to manage your income, the best way to understand your credit through lending. Period.
Hmm.
I mean, I
For
never learned
sure.
more. I was, 35 when I started. And I didn't know how idiot I was. I wish I knew this stuff then than I even knew now. I mean, really, can't believe it
Yeah,
took
yeah.
so long.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
What would you tell
Well,
your kids or
learn.
anything, I guess?
I mean, I'll be honest. I talk, I think about this every single day. Like, I want my kids to learn real life stuff exactly the same, and I'm gonna homeschool my kids. Like, by 7, their curriculum is probably gonna be debt, right? Taxes, all these things. I'm telling you, because that's like the real world stuff. Like, I don't honestly use anything past like the 5th grade.
Well,
I'll
I
be
think
honest.
you just don't realize that, like, writing is something that you, like, hone in on,
For
like,
sure, for
essay,
sure,
essay writing
reading,
or
but
whatever.
like sales, like sales, I mean, you need that, right? Marketing and all these things that I didn't learn in school, and I'm like, why didn't they teach me? Debt, taxes, and all this good stuff. So, I mean, I think differently when it comes to that, right? I know everybody wants to teach science and all this stuff. Okay, that's
Well,
cool.
science is important, you know what? It helps us,
I
do
guess.
everything, right? You wanna be a
I
doctor?
guess. Well, no, I mean, if you're gonna be a doctor, lawyer, school is definitely for you.
Oh,
I definitely think that, but self-education, I think, plays a big part too. A lot of people
yeah.
stop reading and learning after high school, and that's a problem. You know,
Well, yeah, because they go to college and they're like someone's like, "Oh, I went to college." I'm like, "That does not make you educated."
you don't stop. You're not supposed to stop. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
hey, it
yeah.
was it was a pleasure to have you on here. Thank you
Thanks.
for jumping on.
Thanks
You
for
know, hopefully
having me
we
and letting me talk and not, I talk all, you know me, I can talk forever.
you're awesome. You know, from the first day I met you, I thought you were awesome. So thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
jumping on here. I'm gonna put your
Yeah.
information down below. Where can
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
find you? Do you have like any social media or something like that?
I mean, I do. I will say I'm horrible at social media. And honestly, I do get so busy. Like it's hard for me to constantly go on. I'm happy to
Hmm.
talk to people individually. And I do have like an Instagram for Farrell, First Trust Mortgage. You look it up, Farrell Brooke,
Okay.
I'm there.
Okay.
If I post anything, typically on Facebook, if I post anything, it's going to be work. And Instagram, I have that too. So I am horrible and I need to get better. But, like I said, I have to read a lot. And like for me, it has to be a priority,
Yep.
understanding what I can offer people and what
For
new
sure.
requirements are. But yeah, my name and, email me, call me. If I don't answer,
Well,
I call back. I always clear out my emails every day. I never I'm going to bed with 15 emails I didn't respond to. Like I clear my to-do list every night. You got to.
I give it to you. I give it to you.
You
But
got
all
to.
right. Awesome. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
being on
Jordy.
here,
I really
Farrell. Okay.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, I'll see you soon. Take care.
Yeah. See you soon.
All right, y'all. So there you have it. Loan officer out of Florida. If you need her, if you need her services, if you want to contact her, give her a call. I'll put everything in the descriptions. And as you know, I am the health insurance dad. If you need your policy reviewed, if you want better prices, if you hate your policy, if you're healthy, unhealthy, self-employed, just left your job, I can help you in all situations when it comes to health insurance. So give me a call at 833-278-4833 extension 101, or you can go to lizanagroup.com. Thank you.